Hello, everybody. I'm Alexy Khrabrov, the founding director of Center for Responsible AI at the Northeastern University, and I'm here at the GOSIM conference, and I have with me Alexio.
Hi, I'm Alexio Cassani. I'm from Italy, and I work as a professor for Business School of Politecnico di Milano, but mostly I'm an entrepreneur, and I have founded a startup working in the agentic AI field.
That's right. And so today you were at a panel, opening panel. Can you tell us a little bit about that panel and what you talked about there?
Yeah, sure. The panel was about the interaction between human and agents. Mm-hmm. And so we had different point of view that we shared during the panel. My personal one, since I work mostly with the agents applied to software development, and I start everything that to me it's very important to have trust in agents. If you are a developer, like you could be any other professional to me, but in kind of a developer, what I see every day is the fact that they want to see the code. Mm-hmm. And so what we are teaching them is that, you know what, in the future the code is not something that we have to read because something that must be generated by agents. So basically every start for this conversation, and I share this point of view like others that, for instance, the importance of open source, or in case of LLM, open weights model, because of the fact that we are delegating a lot of them. And so we are experienced in doing something. Now there are these things that are more experienced than us. So we leverage them, but every year, every day that we use them, we slowly, let me say, unlearn something. So it's important that from one side, we learn something new, that is basically to what I say, joking, babysit agents. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. And but from the other, it's also that we cannot, probably it's not a good idea that we depend on third-party companies that can, from a day to another, raise the price, remove a model, put another model, so everything without our control. So in this case, open weight model are very important. And to me, an agentic model is, of course, complicated, let me say, complex to be built, because agents model means that agents must be reliable for maybe hours talking to a model. And the open weights model until last summer was not so good at that.
Yes.
Now with the last releases of GLM, of Kimi, or just to mention a few of them, or Quen, or DeepSeek that we were talking about, the agentic skill improved a lot. So this is a new hope for us, like me, that use a lot of these tools every day, because what I do basically on a daily basis is to use frontier model like Claude, for instance, to do some task, and then I try to replace Claude with an open weights model. And for this, you have to work on the harness. You have to work on what is around the harness, so the harness engineering. And if you do that at the moment, it's you can obtain pretty good solid results. So that means that it's something that you should pursue. And this is basically what we talk about, what I put on the table today in the panel.
I liked your points about, that we used to, and you're a professor, so you build up, educate students, and the same with developers. So basically you used to educate junior developers, becoming senior developers. It took 10 years, but now it takes days or weeks or months. And so, how do you see this? Obviously humans, as you know, as an educator, as a professor, it takes years to build skills of, individual contributor, manager. What do you think? So you basically said, we used to be senior developer, will be senior agent babysitter, right? Yeah. But what would be the manager? What would the manager look like? Because basically you are now managing these new developers. What the manager of agent babysitters will look like? What kind of meta skills does this person need to because as a human, we still need managers, right? It will not be all agent herders. So what do you think the manager will look like for this people?
Very, very specific and good question. Thank you. I mean, the point that to me there are some tasks that will disappear. I start from far, but I will come to the answer. And translating, for instance, the need of a user in requirements is a task that to me is subject to disappearing. but also translating estimation in a Gantt is something that will disappear. This doesn't mean that the manager or a particular role will disappear itself, but for sure will evolve. I'm figuring out a world where in the future you will have, talking about in this case software, instead of having 5-6 people like the pizza team that Bezos introduced 20 years ago.
I used to work in one. I was in Amazon and in the pizza team.
Okay,
That's right.
so you know what I mean. So now it's more American used to eat this very large pizza that feed like 4 or 5 people. In Italy, we have pizza for one person.
Yes.
So probably the new pizza team will be an Italian pizza team, where you have one person working on a product.
Yes.
And you, as a manager, probably will have different people working with different products, and each of them will run probably 5-10 agents. So you as a manager, you should have, let me say, an outlook on everything that these agents will do from a high perspective, like how many tokens you are burning, what your data are moving, you are providing the right context to agents, but in the large. Because of course it's something that as a manager you have to do, because in the previous world, again, talking about software development, that is a proxy to other industry to me, you had maybe 10, 15 people that will cost something every day, moving at a pace to a goal in weeks. Now you will have like 20, 30 agents move 10 times faster and burning a lot of tokens or computational power in one day. So you have to have all the information to take the right decision in advance, probably also in a predictive way, prepare everything before agents start to work, because when agents start to work, it's very fast. So you have to work you have to prepare the set before starting, and then evaluate after, in a way that, again, agents produce tons of everything that you want to produce. So you need to have a scalable way also to evaluate this. To me, the manager probably will be something that will find a way to instrument this environment and to put the right mindset in the people, at least at the beginning, and then create everything that will allow him or her to prepare everything and then to evaluate everything in a very faster way.
Right, because managers usually measure productivity of people or agents and budgets, so you still will need to do that, right? But with new environments, new tools.
New tools. That probably you in the past you will the most expensive resource would, digital project at least would be the human being. Now we'll have agents and tokens plus a human being.
Yes.
So we have different KPIs to measure. And also the nice thing that all the Excel that you as a manager used to create in the past will be something that will be created by agents for you.
Yes.
So you can do not spend days or hours in prepare a presentation for the steering committee or a budget, but you can think more about the strategy and how to support your team, because lucky for us or for the manager, Excel spreadsheet or a PowerPoint presentation will be done by agents instead by him. So that's another point of view that I like to share.
Right. And the final question is, I kind of want to use your pizza analogy, right? So pizza was invented in Italy, and Napolitan pizza is great. We came to America with Italian immigrants, and they became very good at making pizza. Yeah. So I was really surprised because, I went to Venice with my kids and the pizza was good, but they went to Ravenna, to a beach, kind of tourist place, and the pizza was very bad. And so they're like, this is bad pizza, the American pizza is better. So how come Italians, creators of pizza, still can make bad pizza? And same thing happens, I think, in IT leadership. So America is leading in AI leadership now. How do we kind of take pizza back to Italy? How do we make Italians rule their own AI, in their own open source AI tools? And so you are kind of working with companies and government. So what's your perspective? How to build up the excellence of European AI, Italian AI, specifically open source community? What do you see happening right now? Where should it go in the future?
It's a good question. Also, this one. Let me say that if you want to build AI models, you need a lot of resources, financial, you need computational power, you need data.
Yes.
My opinion and my experience also with my company, that is the startup is named Fairmind, we obtained a grant from European community of 200k euro, grant not refundable, plus power with one of the high power computer, that one is placed in Italy, in Bologna. So we have the opportunity to create a small language model for banking. And this model has been created with the use of funding from European. We European allow us to purchase with 100k euro data from one of the Italian, from Crédit Agricole, that is another famous bank in Europe. And so we obtain all the resources to build this. We had the talent in Italy to human beings that help us to do that. So it's something that is totally doable. With probably European community must move forward and try to allow all the countries inside Europe to move more, let me say, at the same time. Like we are not a federated government. So if you want to sell in Italy, you have to speak Italian. You need a VAT in Italy.
Right.
You need everything that is Italian. You want to move to French, it's totally different.
Right.
So they have to move to try to normalize and make more democratic the access for a European market from European company, but also for funding and computational power. This is to me the only way that we can do that, we can create our own models, etc. Otherwise, we need the funding that probably will come from the US or other continents. So this doesn't make a lot of sense.
Right. But the data, you mentioned, we start with the data, right? And obviously, data pertaining to human resources, PII, it's all healthcare, it's all local data. And I think regulatory constraints you cannot really leave, right? So I think you have an advantage, right? And especially I like the fact that the EU is funding research and development in many countries, because in the US it's not really set up like this, right? You have to go and get VC money. So I think you have the ingredients, right? So you have the local data and you have open source, very good education. And I meet Italian PhDs from Bologna, from Pisa, from Rome, everywhere but in Italy. I meet them in Zurich, in New York, and in London, right? So I think I care about Italy and open source more than Italians, because I really want you guys to come back and work here, and they say no, like they pay us more outside. But open source with this funding can be done anywhere, right? So if you have the same funding, probably the Italians will choose to work in Italy, right? If they get this kind of funding.
Yeah, that's another good point, because in Italy, unfortunately, our salaries stopped to raise like 20 years ago.
Right.
We have a pretty high fiscal pressure that usually the researcher pay everything, and we pay not so much a PhD, so people move abroad for that reason.
Right.
We tried like other countries like Portugal to find a way to make them easier the way to come back. So
right.
like for 5 years to not pay taxes.
Right.
And so this is an accelerator, or can at least help that the movement, but probably is not enough.
Right.
Because also the quality, you can live very well in Italy, and I'm Italian, I love Italy, but I think that from some other points we should improve also all the social support, society support, hospital, etc. So it's something that is not just a matter of computational power. As I said, it's a more broad things that we should work all together, hopefully with the help of European community, to create a new way to live in Europe, like in Italy, and in a proper way, so that people can come back.
That's great. And I learned that, so you are based in Milano, and then you also work with folks in Torino, right? So there is an AI community. So, I'm really interested in visiting. So, and then also there is this PI conference in Pavia in June, so which my friends are organizing. So, if folks, you want to do more with Italian open source AI and globally European, join this conference in June. And we hope to see you there and others. And thank you very much for sharing this.
Thank you so much. Bye-bye.
All right, thanks a lot. I appreciate it.